Today we are going to be looking at simple chemical reactions, and more specifically, the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide, which is better known as H2O2. So before we start our experiment, uh, what we'd like to do is ask the class or our class that we would be teaching, what do you think is going to happen? So some possible student responses would be that they may think bubbles are going to form from the soap, and that might be due to some prior knowledge from washing their hands with water and soap. So that could be one of their answers. And now we're going to move on to our procedure as we hop into this experiment. Avery, as you can see, is wearing her PPE in form of her goggles. And in addition to that, we're going to ask you to make sure your students have all their materials that are clean and ready to use all laid out in front of you, and make sure that they are not damaged. You're going to need 2 cups. So Avery has 2 cups in front of her, 1 cup that will hold warm water, and the other cup will be used to mix the yeast and water together. And the next step will be to place a 16-ounce plastic water bottle on top of the baking sheet or a surface that you're willing to get dirty. And now you're going to add 8 drops of food coloring into the plastic bottle. So we'll let Avery do that, and she'll give me a thumbs up when she's ready to move on, and she is. Okay, so now we're going to add 1 tablespoon of liquid dish soap into the bottle. We are going to mix the food coloring dish soap by moving the bottle carefully from side to side or in a circular motion, and the food coloring and the soap will then mix together. It does not have to be mixed perfectly. It's just to mix it. And Avery will now stir it in a circular motion or from side to side just to get it moving around and mixed together. So now our next step will be to grab the separate cup and combine the pouch of dry yeast, which is 8 grams or 1 tablespoon, and 3 tablespoons of warm water. So as she does that and mixes the 3 tablespoons of water together with that yeast, I'm going to talk about the yeast itself. So the yeast itself is a catalyst, and as a catalyst, it'll actually speed up the rate of the reaction. So the yeast will act as that catalyst, which will make the reaction occur faster, as without it, it will occur at a slower rate. And a quick note, while you're mixing the 3 tablespoons of warm water and the yeast together, it's okay that there will be clumps in it.
And it doesn't have to be perfectly dissolved either, as long as there's the liquid of the yeast.
Yes.
So as you see, there's a clump of yeast that I'm just going to put in the bottle because it will work just using the bottom.
So yeah, Avery is now using the funnel and going to put the yeast into the bottle. And now she's pouring that liquid that she was talking about that actually did end up dissolving, and that is the key part that will act as a catalyst for this experiment. And this would be a good time to ask your class as well if they have any final predictions on what they think is going to happen, because the next step is to add the hydrogen peroxide into the bottle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to then pour the half cup of 10 volume 3% hydrogen peroxide into the bottle and watch the experiment occur. As the experiment is actually happening, you may ask the students what they are seeing and what they make of what is happening. So what they might say is they see foam occurring and the color from the food coloring. And then this would be a good point for the teacher, us, to explain what is happening with this reaction. So again, we can talk about the yeast acting as a catalyst, as it speeds up the reaction and helps to break down the hydrogen peroxide at a faster rate. And as Avery is going to pour the hydrogen peroxide into the bottle, we then can explain what is happening with the formula. So as you can see, the hydrogen peroxide is decomposing into its specific compounds and molecules, which are water and oxygen, so H2O and O2. So what happens here what causes the foam is the bubbles get trapped in the liquid dish soap, creating a foam that is seen at the tail end of the experiment, which we just saw right here. And as we can see, we have now created elephant's toothpaste. And some further extensions that we can do with our students is to further explore what is happening by looking at the chemical formula and how to balance it. So thank you for watching our video, and we had a lot of fun with this, and I hope you guys did too.